Dr. Revis, it's time for us to get started. You want to bring welcome to the class? Okay, can't hear you.
I could unmute. Welcome everybody to week 7. Guys, you only have 3 weeks after this week. And I think the last week is even maybe a week that we're maybe doing some conferences. I don't know for sure. It's been a moment since I've looked at it, but
It
you
is.
you are on the downhill slide, definitely. And I know you're ready to be done. And we're ready for you to be done too. And I don't mean that in a bad way. I know you've hung in there with us, and we love you guys so much for being our guinea pigs throughout this new NCPPA process. So we'll talk more, take questions more about that later. But Dr. Stedman, take it away.
I will, and again, it's good to see all of you. I've communicated with several of you over the last few days via, um, mainly via email. Via email, I have done some texting, but and talked to some. But as Dr. Revis said, it's been a fast journey this summer, but I think it's been a good one. I see Dr. Revison just reading their assignments. I can tell so much growth from when they first entered the program. And that's one good thing about being able to somebody else wouldn't have been able to see that because they wouldn't have known where you were from the beginning, but to see where you were and where you are is just an amazing transformation that we've seen. You and you yourselves know you've grown in many, many ways. Um, Before we go over the agenda, just a reminder, did everybody see the email that Dr. Stone sent out yesterday? If you did not check my course shell and you can see it in the announcements. Um, but he is going to have a meeting tomorrow evening at 7 o'clock. He put the link in there to join, and this is to talk about your task 2 and 3, um, or yeah, task 2 and 3. That's what he said, and then to answer any questions that you may have at that time. This probably, Dr. Revis, this may be his town hall. So, I would encourage you to join. It probably won't last a long, long time, or it shouldn't, but it'll give you your chance to talk with him about some things that you may need to ask him about graduation, those kinds of things. But I want to just talk briefly about assignment 6, your case study 3, and that leads back to what Amanda and Nicole and Dr. Evans and I were talking about when everybody was coming on. But first of all, I feel like everybody did a very, very good job on this. Your focus was, mainly on making sure that the child had a free and appropriate public education. You were able to hone in on the beginning of all of the law that supports children with exceptionalities, Public Law 94-142, and it has emerged into some different names. And there were some other things that you were able to point out as well, and then the things that you do locally. But everybody was able to understand, what this is what the law says. And I will tell you, Dr. Revis will tell you, um, failure to comply with EC law will get you in trouble faster than anything as a principal that you can. I mean, you can be in mitigation. There can be somebody at your door, at your desk, at any time if you fail to follow the law and do what is right for EC children. Am I right or wrong, Dr. Revis? So, so make sure that you don't make sure you know what you're doing and make sure that you do it because it's the right thing to do. It's the right thing to do. The children with these exceptionalities and the parents, they deserve the best that they can get from us as a leader in the school. So make sure that you do that. And I'll tell this one brief, quick story. When I was hired as an assistant principal, the person that was before me was in charge. We were a small city school system, had been in charge of the assistant principal had been in charge of EC for several years. Well, the federal they had a state and federal audit, and when they came in, it was a hot mess. It was a hot mess. The school, the system ended up having to pay back a lot of money. Well, needless to say, he did not remain assistant principal. So when I was hired as assistant principal, and it was the school where I had taught at for many years, and then I had moved to the middle school. So I was hired from the middle school to come back to the elementary school. And when I was hired, these were the words that the superintendent told me. He said, "Your job is an assistant principal." He said, "But your main purpose right now is you are in charge of the exceptional children's program and you are to straighten it out." So I tell you, I learned by the seat of my britches about EC compliance, the law, and whatever. But to make a long story short, I worked hard at it. And before that year was over with, we had everything back in place and had the school um, was in compliance. So just know that it's a real issue. But great job on that. Dr. Revis will speak at the very end about, putting those case studies together. Now, some of you've already done that, but we'll remind you of that and what you need to do. Dr. Revis, if you'll scroll down, just a reminder of your assignment for this week. And some of you have already completed that as well, the Johari window. And I'm getting great responses back from that, how enlightening this activity was, how much they enjoyed it. So again, this is something that you can do at another phase in your life, because I can promise you, you do it now, and then after you become an assistant principal or you become a principal, you can do it again. And some of it may stay the same, but some of it's going to change. And then it's going to be interesting to see, you know, once you become an administrator, get teachers that work under you to do this occasionally. It helps you and it helps them as well. You saw all the benefits from the Johari window. Um, Please, very, very pleased. Several of you have turned it in. Christy Funderburg, I really enjoyed yours. I really did. Christy, you took it. I mean, you really took it the extra mile, and I appreciate the transparency that you shared in that with me. And that's what it takes. You've got for it to work for you, for it to be meaningful and to help you grow as an administrator. You've got to take it seriously, and you've got to say, this is what I recognize. And if I recognize it and somebody else, then that means I've got to pay attention to it. I had that conversation with somebody with a post conference today with their summative evaluation for the year, one of my office staff, and there were some things that veteran, 78, she's 78 years old, been working 50 some years. But I told her, I said, this is an area that you've got to work on next year. And I did it in a very positive way. And I told her, I said, we're going to help work on this together. So, you have to understand this. And I think I'm going to do this with the staff when we start back to school this year. And that's a great activity. Nicole?
Let's do the 12th, right? I know, like where you said, I know people have already turned in, and I'm so glad there are people working ahead, but it's due the 12th, right?
Right, right,
Like Ward said, I just want to make sure.
right, right. Yeah, it is.
Okay.
It is. But it's okay to work ahead.
Yeah.
And I was going to say that too. Any questions about the Johari window? great. It's okay to work ahead, but sometimes when you work ahead, all of these assignments, or for the most part, um, except for the case studies, all of these, for leadership purposes, build upon each other. So, all of these should help as you are looking at that final assignment, leadership defined. So don't cut yourself short. And even if you need to go back after tonight and say, well, maybe I need to look at that again, if you submitted it, then that's okay. But just consider that. But and then let's look at week 8 responsibilities. That will come up after the Johari Window Leadership Defined assignment. And this is really where you take a deep look um, at you, where you are, after this, these 3 semesters, where you are, where you plan to be, where you see yourself. But it's a great reflection, leaving this course and then leaving this program and going out into the real world. So just make sure that you address everything that I've asked you to do at the bottom. And again, while some of it is a little bit research based, a lot of it is all about you. So, I do want you to focus on you as you look at you and where you are. But I've gotten a couple of those in as well, and very, very pleased um, with that work. I sent you. Don't know if everybody got it. That's why it's important to check your Blackboard, your announcements and your emails. I sent it as an email as well, but because these are things that I ponder over on the weekend, and I build the ship as I go along with some of it. But I found this, what I thought was a great activity. We had only touched on transformational leadership and servant leadership, and I wanted you to be exposed at least to the idea of some more styles of leadership before the semester was over. We were running out of time. So I said, what's the best way I can do it? So I searched and I thought, and I came up with this activity. And I know you may have read this already, but go back up a little bit, Dr. Revis, go back. But when it's just like it said, when you think about leadership, different types of leadership, it's, based on your experiences, it is true. You say, well, that's a good leader, that's a bad leader. That's about what we do, or that's what we think as a teacher. Either they're a good leader or they're a bad leader, or they can be somewhere in between. And it's tempting to do that, good or bad. But then going down, Dr. Revis, you'll find there are numerous styles of leadership that aren't inherently good or bad. They're just different. And you heard us allude to this last week when we said that, you'll have a dominant leadership style, but you're going to find yourself, whether you know what the name of it is or not, you're going to find yourself moving from one leadership style to another as a leader. You do it as a parent, you do it as a teacher, you do it, you don't think about it. It just happens based on what the circumstances are, what you're dealing with. And so they ask this question. We're not going to answer it because you're going to answer it later. What is leadership, really? And I could go down the list, and I could start with Nicole, and I could end with whoever the last person is on the frames. And every one of you could come up with some commonalities, but every one of you could say something different, because a leader is a lot of things. But what I want to do now is to point out to you that there are other leadership styles. What I've printed in here, what I found, it shows 10 leadership styles inclusive of servant leadership and transformational leadership styles. What we're going to do in our breakout activity assignment today, when Dr. Revis assigns you to the groups, you're going to have 20 minutes in your breakout session to become experts at your leadership style. In 20 minutes, you're going to become an expert because you're going to be the ones reporting out. And then we're going to have about 5 minutes for the entire group to report back out about their leadership style. And I promise you, you'll have some good takeaways from it by doing this. Go into this activity again, choose a team leader, choose a team recorder, read and discuss the information for your group's assigned leadership style, or go over it at least. And this is what you must do. Each member of the team must be a part of the report out to the entire group with the following: provide an introduction to the leadership style, talk about the pros and cons, talk about opportunities for using this leadership style. Now, you'll notice that there are 10 leadership styles listed below, and I have highlighted Dr. Revis, move on down. I've highlighted the group one's going to talk about transactional leadership, and you got some good starters in this for everything that I'm asking you to look for, but you can add stuff to it as well. So this will be group ones. Dr. Revis, move on down. Servant leadership we've already done. Democratic leadership is going to be group 2. Move on down. Group 3 is going to do laissez-faire leadership. And then the last one is group 4, and you will be doing situational leadership. We'll come back together. Dr. Revis, let's say, let's give them 25 minutes. We'll come back together at quarter till 8. We'll come back together. And then that will give us time to close out. But I think we're going to have some good discussions from this. So any questions about what you've got to do?
Dr. Stedman, for some reason, I do not have the ability to create meeting rooms.
You know why? Because I haven't made you a co-host.
Okay.
And I'm going to do that right now. And voila, just like that, you have rights.
All right. Let's see. Okay, we want 4 breakout rooms.
Oh, yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6,
Okay.
7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. That puts 3 in each room.
Okay. All right. I am creating, and it's going to assign you. So please click on your room to join. I think everybody's joined, but Tanisha, she should be in room 1. There she goes. Okay.
Okay, now let me pause recording.
This is a great activity.
I like it.
Yeah.
I sat there Saturday and put it together. Lamar, did you get my message?
Yes, sir, I did. Thank you for
Okay.
your
Okay, so if you can just stay on just a minute at the end. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Lamar, I like your head cover.
Thank you. I'm trying to keep my head cool in this ridiculously hot weather.
My son wears his bandana too, and yeah. So I'm like, oh, that reminds me of him. It looks cool. It looks nice.
Thank you.
No pun intended.
I think, are we all back? I think we're all back.
We're back. We're back. Again, like I said last week, 20, 25 minutes goes by fast. when you're in these groups. It goes by real fast. Let's go ahead and start. You know the instructions. Let's start with group one, transactional leadership.
That was my group, so I'll be doing the intro portion of it. So, as the name suggests, it is a leadership style that is based in transaction. So, essentially, it begins with the leader sort of giving explicit instructions to those under their leadership, and then that leader uses a combination of rewards and punishments based upon the results that are produced by those under that leadership style. And it essentially is a back and forth in that way. Instructions are given, and then they are met with, positive rewards or punishments depending on how successfully the tasks were completed.
Okay. Who else is in your group?
I am. I've got the pros and cons for transactional leadership. So, some of the pros, it can provide clarity. So, team members know exactly what is expected of them, which reduces confusion and also increases accountability and productivity. The cons, it does have limitations because it relies heavily on rules and monitoring and external rewards. So that might discourage creativity. And sometimes employees could become focused on minimum expectations.
That's good.
And I'm also a part of that group. And I'm going to apologize in advance. I was having technical difficulties, so I kind of came in on the end. But if I have the correct understanding, I'm going to talk about the opportunities in the transactional leadership.
Right.
Okay. And well, in my experience, some of the opportunities for that will, in that particular leadership style, when it comes to like testing, state testing in particularly, it gives everyone the groundwork as far as the rules and procedures to help maintain the security and testing in regards to things like safety drills and emergency situations. It provides an outline for staff to follow with protocols, and it just ensures consistency. And also, this particular leadership style it helps with meeting deadlines. So again, it just helps to ensure that things are completed in a timely manner when you use that type of leadership style.
Okay, and the thing is, starting out with this, great job, team. But do you immediately and those of you that were listening to this, when you were hearing what they were saying, did somebody pop up in your head? Well, I've seen that with so and so, or I recognize that. So that's the whole purpose of this, is for you to see that. Do you understand and see why it may not be the best leadership style, while it may not be your dominant leadership style? Do you see how you could easily lean into this style in your leadership role? Can you see when you would possibly need to do this? All of us, I've done it. I've done it many, many times. I don't camp out there, but I used it today. So, I don't camp out there. It's not my dominant leadership style, but it plays an important role in my role as a leader.
I thought Tanisha has some real good examples
Yes.
of when it would make sense to use that type of leadership.
Yeah,
I think you always have to think about, the task at hand and what is your purpose to determine what kind of leadership style that you need to go into the task with. Those were good examples, guys.
right. And can't you see how you would easily, the circumstances could cause you to lean into being a transactional leader without even realizing it sometimes? and you'll find yourself doing that. Great job. We could camp out there forever and go on and talk about other things, but we just don't have time. But at least you have an idea of what that is. Group 2, democratic leadership.
Okay, I have the introduction. So democratic leadership is kind of like having a democracy. The administration, the leadership values the input from others, often encourages discussions, emphasizes working together, pulls in others' opinions, not just having their control over everything, but wanting others to come in and share their opinions on different things.
Okay. Good introduction. Next is
And I have the pros and cons. So when we're thinking about the pros and cons of the democratic leadership, they offer several advantages because it encourages collaboration. It also allows for values of input of others and promotes shared decision making. And by involving team members in the decision making process, those leaders often increase trust. It helps build morale, promotes creativity and commitment in organizational goals. And when we think about those pros, there are some negativities because, however, democratic leaders also have limitations because it relies on gathering feedback and building consensuses. And the decision-making process can be time-consuming, making it less effective for situations that require immediate action. And additionally, differing opinions can create conflict and delay progress in the group struggles to each reach an agreement, especially if you're waiting for everybody to agree, because everybody's not going to do that. But overall, democratic leadership is most effective in environments that value collaboration, open communication, and shared responsibility.
great job. Okay.
So I've got opportunities. And we discussed a lot about, like, as a new principal, what these opportunities might look like. And so we talked about, as a new principal, maybe if you were in a new school or you went to a different level, like if you were high school, went to elementary, you would really want to seek out like teacher leaders who have more knowledge and expertise than you do. And that you would be able to work with them as a team to get things done as you're learning your school and you're learning the environment. Mary Kate had a really good example last summer. A new principal was hired kind of late in July. But what that principal did is the first 2 weeks is she met with every staff member and heard like what they needed, what their concerns were. And then she did check-ins throughout the year with them to make sure that she was getting everyone's thoughts, opinions, and just checking in to make sure everyone had a voice.
Great job. And with democratic leadership, I hope you've seen in just what the group has said that it really, in your mind, you want to do this a lot of times, but you can't. You have to weigh in when you can and when you can't do this. You have to decide. Sometimes you have to take the time to do it because it's important. But with everything you do, you'd never get anything done if you use this leadership style all the time. But there are times when this is very, very important, especially if you're looking. Dr. Revis, I can see where going into a new situation where there may have been not the principal that you're replacing was not the most effective principal. There were problems at the school. I can see where you would try to use democratic leadership to get buy-in and to bond with the staff and to get, especially if it had been a bad situation for them. And then there's lots of other times. You may have a faculty meeting where you need to use democratic leadership for just that one time to get consensus from the group about some issue or some big thing in the school that you're doing. But again, it has its place. You just have to decide when and where.
And I think this group did a good job. Brandy again was reported out on this. Um, it's just as important to know when to use a leadership style and when not to use it.
Right.
And they pointed out that, in a time of crisis,
Mhm.
you don't use this kind of leadership. You've got to step up and be the leader and tell people what to do and get things done very, very quickly. And or like Tanisha said, that those things she cited, you would not use democratic leadership for those kinds of things.
Right.
So it's the key of all this is two things, in my opinion, to know number one, there's not one size fits all.
Mhm.
And number two, it's almost like a doctor trying to decipher it, with this particular issue that you've got in front of you, which type of leadership is most effective,
Mhm.
right?
Right. But great job, team.
Yeah.
The next group, the French word laissez-faire.
Well, I'm not good at French, so my team had to help me a few times pronounce it correctly, first of all. It doesn't matter whoever wants to go first. Let's see.
Who's going to do the introduction of it?
I can start.
Okay.
So it is essentially the opposite of micromanagement. As the name implies, it's a hands-off approach, but not in a way that the leader is never there. More of a manager. You oversee what's going on, but you don't necessarily have to get your hands dirty. You provide that framework and you just supervise to make sure that it's being followed out, carried through.
Okay. Good.
And I'll do the pros and cons. We had several pros that we talked about. It's great if you've got a faculty that is self-motivated and experienced, and they work well together as a team. So it allows them to be, I think it allows them to be a little more creative. Decisions get made a little bit faster when it's kind of left to them. The cons of that, though, are if you have new teachers, unmotivated teachers, maybe teachers that are close to retirement really don't want to put in quite that much work. That lack of oversight is not going to be good for everybody. So that's definitely a con of that type of leadership. And then it also decreases the accountability of a leader. He can say, "Hey, my team did this. This is not my fault." So there is that as well. That accountability piece.
Right. And then we'll get the other part of it in just a minute. Do you remember when we were going over when we were introducing the standards, the principal standards, and remember the requirements that there were 8 standards, and remember the requirements that the principal were. How would that, Christy, align with meeting those standards? If you just had, with the principal standards, those standards that we did the first semester, how would if a principal just was completely laissez-faire, how would that align with what the state requires for them to do as a principal?
I don't know how they could prove that they were meeting those standards when you leave it to your teachers or your PLC leaders or whatever. I don't know how you can say that you've met any of these standards when you're really not putting in the work to do so.
And I asked that
you may
question.
be growing leaders, but I don't know that you're really demonstrating leadership. You're more demonstrating, it seems to be a management style to me rather than a leadership style.
Right. Okay. I like what you just said. I like that. Okay. The next person.
Yes. Opportunities. So examples I thought would be like starting clubs, empowering teachers and leaders, and they already talked a lot about this too. People in your school that are already self efficient in leading other people or growing other people. And then fundraising opportunities, kind of like the early parts of a project. Parent night, I was thinking like with our STEM night that we have at our school, there's so many moving parts that if you are too much of one leader, then it's not authentic and maybe not as enjoyable to your community, your school community. And oh, well, this teacher or this grade level did, they presented on this, and it was just more cookie cutter. So the liaison fair, how do you say it? Laissez-faire. Um, it's not a cookie cutter approach and minimal step in. So I think for those of us that have time blindness and adhering to schedules is not an effective way to lead other people that may also have some time blindness issues or like our group discussed earlier, new teachers or those that are not wanting to pull their weight. Let's see what else I put on here. The offering, kind of like offering empowerment, I thought was a big one. I myself could not be this type of leader. For several reasons, but Brittany, I like working with Brittany within our peer group because she loves this type of leader because she has her stuff together.
Well,
She's very mathematically minded and just kind of, zen and go with the flow and monitor and adjust to a lot of things. So she spoke about the leadership of the person that she had that was this type of leader and spoke very highly of them. So kind of like a opposites attract type thing, I guess you would say.
and it does have its place. It's not one that I practice wholeheartedly. But you mentioned some things. All of you mentioned some things, but I think Mandy, you talked about like empowering teachers to be able to do certain things, like lead this or do that. And you have to always remember as a leader, what gets monitored gets done. So you still need to monitor things, but you don't have to micromanage every little detail of it. And so I would see, I'm not going to let anybody have full control of the curriculum of my school. I'm going to, the buck stops with me. So I'm not going to just say, okay, to my reading coach or my math coach, have at it. This is your job. I'm going to work with them and I'm going to be on top of that. But there are some things that I can let go of because you can't do everything.
Right.
And you have to pick and choose what it is that you can let go of and that you can practice the laissez-faire to a degree with those kinds of things, but you have to pick and choose what they are. At the end of the day, just remember the buck stops with you and you're going to be fully accountable. But anyway, great job. It gives you something to think about.
And Dr. Stedman, can I butt in and add to that? I've tried to think while y'all were talking about when have I ever used that? I don't think I personally have ever used it. And I'm not saying that's a good thing. But if I did use it, the closest I've ever come to using it is when we were doing trying to look at a problem solution. But I was pretty much here's the outcome I want.
Mm-hmm.
Now, how we get there, let's hear some ideas. But it was very difficult for me personally, ever, both as a principal and central office person, to ever be totally laissez-faire. It's
All
very
right. And I don't think I was totally laissez-faire, but I may have allowed some components of it,
right.
in what I do. Because even now, I'll tell a story and don't mean to, but I'll say, I'm have at it, whatever, and I get to think about it, and I go back. And they've told me before, you said you weren't going to bother us. I said, well, I told a story. I am. So, then I'll come back and do that. But great job. And the last one, and the last group, what was that? The last one?
The last one we had was situational leadership,
Okay, go ahead.
and Katrina's going to start with the definition of it.
Okay.
All right, so situational leadership, we found that it is an adaptive management framework where leaders adjust their communication, direction, and support based on a specific situation. They use 4 base styles, which are directing, coaching, supporting, and delegating.
Okay, good. Okay, take it. The next person.
Christy's going to do the pros and cons. If she's
There we
there.
go. I'm getting off the mute. Yeah, sorry. My dog is like doing the zoomies right now, losing his mind because I asked for quiet once a week. So the pros of the situational thing is that you can be adaptable and you're flexible. You have that ability to respond effectively in those changing environments. You do need to know your staff and kind of the best approach to deal with them, kind of coaching them, supporting them, and delegating with them. But the cons can be that perception from your staff that you kind of seem wishy-washy because you kind of change with the seasons, and well, she acts this way in this situation, she acts this way in this situation. So that could be a perception issue as a con. And then it kind of could be hard to maintain that relationship and trust with your people because they may see you as inconsistent. And it definitely is going to require strong emotional intelligence because you're going to need to know how to read the room quickly, and you can't just kind of say and do things knowing that some of your people are going to be put off that way or not get what they need because you just kind of did what you thought was best, not knowing the situation.
Okay, great job.
Right, and I have what kind of situations you actually use situational leadership in.
Okay.
So like Katrina stated, it's really good for mentoring new teachers by providing, coaching and modeling and frequent feedback while they develop confidence in the instructional skills per person. They know how to provide and motivate and what works best for that specific person. Like you said, micromanaging, or some people you have to be on it, and other people don't need that as much mentoring. Also for implementing new curriculum or school initiatives, again, by adjusting the level of support based on the teacher's experience and readiness. Addressing teacher performance, that would be the individualized guidance and clear expectations in the ongoing support. My first thought was personally was student behavior. My brain went EC, and disciplinary issues, because you have to adapt the different interventions and communication to meet each student's specific needs and circumstances. Of course, by following district policy and school policy, but you also have to, in that moment, you have to handle the student differently. You can't be firm with some kids, and you have to be firm with some kids and soft with others, and knowing different kids' backgrounds and their emotional needs. Tyler, baby, shh. Leading through change of unexpected challenges, such as, staffing changes, emergencies that come up, different policy updates, or again, those school crises, and adjusting the leadership strategies to support the staff and maintain school operations during those times. That's what I have.
All right, good job, team. And Nicole, you almost went into what I was going to say. Even with teachers, I can think back, Dr. Revis, to working with teachers, especially with this. And when while in a staff meeting, I would deal pretty much everybody with the same thing. If I was meeting with teachers one-on-one, it was not a cookie cut pattern that I used. If Nicole came in, I would, based on the situation or whatever, I would talk to Nicole in this respect. But then Brandy could come in, and I didn't need to approach Brandy the way I'd approach Nicole. So the situation or what would cause me in my leadership to talk to Brandy in a different way or to approach a matter in a different way. And you'll find yourself, this is the one thing that in the course of a day, you can move back and forth into being a situational leader many times during the day based on what you're dealing with and what the circumstances are. So again, you got to remember, as the group said, you can't treat everything as the same. You've got to look at what the situation is, and you've got to be prepared and know in any given situation. Situational leadership actually, you can go there, and then in your thinking, it will take you to another leadership style to have to implement.
I feel like, I don't know, the different leadership styles, there's like 10 of them. And I don't want to say some are more important than others, but some are clearly show more than others. And I feel like the situational leadership is like a sub leadership component and not like a main one, if that makes sense.
I think that's well said. Well said, Nicole. Dr. Revis.
And I had never thought about what Christy said, or Christy's group. She reported it about you have to be careful because people may think you're wishy-washy. Well, guys, there is absolutely nothing wrong with explaining to your staff, guys, I'm going to approach it this way because da 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 da. You need to share with your staff or feel comfortable enough sharing with your staff about why you're approaching this situation in this way, whereas another situation you might approach it a whole different way. I think that builds transparency and trust. I had never thought about, though, somebody perceiving that type of leadership as being wishy-washy, but I appreciate you bringing that up. To avoid that, I would just say be transparent with your staff. Tell them why you're doing it, why you're using this process. I wouldn't say leadership style with them, but this is why I choose to use this process when we're talking about this issue, and another process and just be transparent. You'll gain a lot of respect when you do that.
You certainly.
And I want to say this. I don't know if I've told this group. I probably have because I don't have a lot of original things. But when you mess up, and you will mess up, don't make excuses. Tell your staff, hey, I messed up. And you know what? They will, number one, they'll respect you because you can admit that you make mistakes. And we all make mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And number two, eat crow while it's young and tender. Eat crow while it's young and tender. You see you make a mistake, it's not going to undo itself. Just step up to the plate, own it, and move on. And that's transparency. That's owning up to, I messed up. I didn't realize this or that. Don't make excuses. Just or try to, come up with some lame something. Just be honest with your staff because you want them to be honest to you, and they'll mess up some too. That's why we give everybody grace.
Heard that one before. Eat crow while it's young and tender. That's one of them mountain things, Dr. Revis.
It is. It really is.
But I'm going to use that one.
I showed my raisin right there, didn't I?
I love it. I love it, though. That sounds like something Dale Lamb would have said.
That birth that baby.
Yeah, birth that baby.
Birth that baby. Yeah.
Birth that baby.
I've told you that, Amanda, haven't I?
Yeah.
More than once.
But guys, I hope that you, Dr. Revis, we've stopped sharing. I hope you guys see the relevance in this, and it has given you, some more things to think about, as you're transitioning out of the program and into an official leadership role. I hope this is giving you more things to think about. It's just a tip of the iceberg, but it's enough that, you've been exposed to it. You know where to go and what to do if you need to research it anymore. So, I think that's about as much as we can go with the leadership styles, because time is running out. But I did want to at least let you know, these other ones are out there, and, you needed to be aware of them. But great job. You did exactly what we thought you would do on this activity. Great job. And Dr. Revis, I'm going to let you bring the benediction on everything.
Okay, well, does anybody have any questions on anything with your midterm clinical log? A couple of you asked to go back and rework a few things. So be sure you've checked that and check that box off. Anything with NCPPA, you guys are knocking it out of the ballpark. And I've got to say something. I don't know whether you were going to share this or not.
Go ahead.
Okay. May we share about Lamar?
Lamar,
Are you
can we
okay,
share?
Lamar?
That's fine.
Let's let Lamar. Lamar has he surprised me today, but it was a great surprise, and I'm very proud of him. He did not say one word to me about it, didn't say one word to Dr. Revis about it, and he didn't need to. Remember, we told all of you that if you moved on with task 3, that you would have to be pretty much, to get it done in a timely manner before to count for this, the beginning of school, that you would have to do it on your own. Well, guess what? Lamar did it, and he's passed task 3 already. He's got his score back. And I'm just proud of that, Lamar. It just spoke volumes to me. So, congratulations, and just keep us posted of the good things that are going to come for you, because they're going to happen for you. But
So Lamar, you had to have that in at the end of May, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So congratulations. Share I hope you're willing to share with others any lessons learned. And I know you're done, but if you don't mind, I really would love for you to continue to give your feedback to your peer review partner.
Yes, ma'am.
But
Okay.
congratulations making that big hurdle. Guys, you're ready for this. And I'll tell you this, don't get all wigged out if you fall down in something. Okay? But one indicator. It just is what it is. You could have drawn an evaluator who, had some kind of bias against, they were expected to see something in one of the indicators that they didn't see. You can't get all torn up about it. The main thing is that overall passing score.
Right.
And you know what? You're going to get paid the same as if it's a 3, a 3.2, a 3.5, or a 4. You're going to get paid the same, right?
Right.
Get that 3 and move on.
Lamar, that was what we were going to do. So, we've done it. We don't have to stay unless you need to say anything to us. We would like to spend maybe time over the next 3 weeks. If you would think about it, some pointers that you can give as the group is moving on in that direction. Anything that you discovered that would help some things, if you don't mind doing that. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. But anyway, great job. Amanda?
Yes, this is for the good of the group, I promise. You said, Dr. Revis, a 3.2. Okay. What is the passing score? Is it not a 2.75?
I have no idea.
Okay.
Okay, I'm gonna be transparent. She's asking on my behalf because I had a freak out moment. I did well on task 1 and I got above a 3. And for task 2, I got a 2.83. I will be completely transparent. I got 3s and a little above 3s across the board, except for one indicator, and it gave me a 2, and it brought my score completely down. And I was completely freaking out about whether I passed or not. But it says complete, so I turned everything in. I don't know how that works, and I know that we're creating the norms, so
If it
she's
said
asking on my behalf.
complete, if it said complete, then you have met their requirements.
Yeah. Yeah, there are no cut scores for you guys.
Now remember, they're still norming everything.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, if something is gosh awful bad, they're not going to say complete. Okay?
No, it definitely said complete. It was just that one
Okay.
indicator that brought my
Right.
score
Well,
really down.
but you're through with task 2, so move on. Okay?
Nicole, think not one more thought about it. Okay.
Right.
I won't
Move
panic
on.
anymore. I definitely was panicking. My whole group now, I was
No.
panicking.
No, just move on.
Yeah.
And like I say, we're norming, and you're gonna get a score maybe like that out of the blue. But just move on. Focus on task 3 and move on. And the thing about it is, guys, I trust this group. You're going to do your best work. It doesn't matter whether there's a cut score or not. You're going to do your best work because of the way you are as individuals. So there are no cut scores, but do your best work. And what you don't want to do is, and I tell you this, I've harped on it before, guys, you got to get those videos down to the time frame. If it's a 15-minute video, that's your max. Make it 14 minutes and 35 seconds, but don't go over. You can go under, but don't go over. Or that will throw it out. That will throw it out if you go over in your videos or if you go over in your words, in your write-ups. So those are easy fixes. You control that. And that's all you got to worry about. All right?
Okay.
I appreciate y'all, and I appreciate our peer review teams. Like,
Same.
I was good, but then when you just said that, Dr. Revis, I think I may shed a tear. Like, I haven't, I know everybody has got a lot going on, but I really appreciate, I appreciate y'all. I appreciate our peer review team. Lamar, you are amazing. So I hope you can share like your whole little phone number, or either I'll go look for it on
I'll be emailing you, Lamar.
on the assignment. But we haven't got to really group with everybody. But I will tell you, this will be my 3rd master's degree, and this has by far been the hardest thing besides childbirth that I have done. Being in the classroom still, and I just appreciate everybody along the way. I know it's just been a year, but by George, it feels like it's been 5. So I'm thankful for everybody, and I just want to say that. I hope we continue to to build with each other. There's people that's lost parents. There's people that's, all of us have hardships. And so I'm being very transparent, and I appreciate all of you because it's been a great learning experience, but it has been hard. So thank you all.
Thank you, Amanda.
Anyway, well, thank all of you. Dr. Evans, do we have a coaching meeting next week, or is it the next week?
It is week 9.
Week 9. So we don't have a coaching meeting next week with them. Guess what, group? I'm going to give you the week of the 4th off. We will see you week 9. We don't need, you enjoy your week, get your work caught up. If you need me, give me a call, but we don't need to come together. Enjoy your time, get caught up, and then we'll come together week 9. Okay. Does that sound good?
Now we will have to come together for the coaching session at 6, right?
Yes.
And we'll send out
We'll
reminders.
send reminders, but that's week 8 coming, week 8 coming up. This time next week, you don't have to come online with us. I will be available if you need me, though. Christy,
Did we start populating TaskStream yet, or will we talk about that maybe the
you
next
can
time?
go. You can go into TaskStream and do whatever you need to do.
Except, you know,
Except
the
the
LTAP.
LTAP.
Make sure
Yeah.
you follow the process with the
Right,
LTAP.
the process with the LTAP, and yes, and if you just send that to Dr. Revis, follow that process, send it to her, and then she can clear you, and you can go on and do that. But the other things in TaskStream, you know what to do. It's open. Go ahead and do it.
Who are the same people that we had last time?
Put Dr. Stone's name. Just put Dr. Stone's name as the person if you need to.
Okay.
And that way, even though Dr. Stone's name's on in there, if it's like the School of Ed or something, if Dr. Revis and I go in there, we have access to that. We can look at that as well. But there's some things that he wants to do specifically himself, and then some things he will let us help him with. So just put Dr. Stone's name in there and you'll be good to go.
Y'all have a good week off. Happy 4th of July.
Okay. Amanda, hold on just 1 second. Let me pause.